And my friend said, the way you and Daddy got me, I don't have to say the rest. But that kid brings back that knowledge. And then now you standing there with egg on your face. Want to hit the child. Because the child discovered the reality of, the knowledge of, the question was not something that someone just believed, but he thinks by now, oh, well, I know. And in the process, that kid learned something else. My parents would lie to me. And wonder what that Santa Claus deal is about anyhow. Huh? He already lied to me about where I come from. You know? If we ain't got no chimney, well then how you gonna get down the chimney? But we dealing with what we believe. Somebody told me about the chimney, so I told you about the chimney. Okay? And while we on the subject of Santa Claus, who was Jesus? Damn. Where did that kid get that from? Oh, by the way, before I go any further, I love to curse. My friends don't know this about me. And my husband tells me I gotta quit that. So what I decided to do was to just write my favorite word on the board. So when I point to this word, not this here part of it, but this part of it, I want to curse. So everybody just said, shit. Okay? But the point that I was trying to make, when you do not tell your children the truth, then you lose the confidence of that child. And they grow up to be cynical. And the first person that will be willing to give them a little attention and a piece of bread, Pavlov's dog, y'all, Pavlov's dog. Everybody here understand what Pavlov's dog was about. I can make a dog salivate just by showing him a piece of bread. I can get his mind whenever I want to, if I just give him that certain thing, a little attention. You don't have to have no knowledge because he's not used to knowledge. He tired of asking why, because every time he asks why, he get a lie. So then he can be convinced that to put his whole life in a gap, in the empty space. The children of Israel crossed the Red Sea, getting away from Pharaoh, because Pharaoh was trying to kill them and had them enslaved for 40, 50 years. And God crossed over the sea up and let them children of Israel get free of Pharaoh, and then the water come back on top of it and kill all of Pharaoh and his soldiers. And before that, God killed Pharaoh's, all of their firstborn. But then what part they left out of the story was this. Pharaoh said to those Jews, and I'm not against Jews. I come from South Florida. I will submit that who I am as a person has a whole lot to do with the little bit of knowledge that I got from the Jews. They ain't gonna miss it because they got it all. But the question was this. Pharaoh goes to the Jews and says, look, y'all gotta stop killing y'all firstborn. You know the God we serve don't accept that. Y'all gotta stop that. Y'all getting us in trouble. They refuse to quit. So Pharaoh said, get this shit and leave. So the Jews who got all the knowledge go out and they write a book. And they call the book Judo-Christian. Is anybody here figured out why the Jews never let anybody read their Holy Scripture? Does anybody here know that? Them scrolls that they roll out once a year and only 8 little old men get to read? No one else in the whole world except one of them little Jews get to read that book. But they say we are Judo-Christian. So what does that mean? Them Romans, who was the greatest killing machine that has ever lived, needed to make slaves. And they needed to make them without hurting them too bad. So he goes to two Christians, say, they kept fighting among themselves, and said, look, y'all get it together. Y'all about to break down my city. I want y'all to join together and become one. And under that heading, we're going to have a religion. Okay? The Hindu Christos was one. Christos, Christ, that was one half of the group. And the Druid, Jesus, was the next group. Jesus. Can anybody say Jesus? Two separate groups of people fighting amongst themselves. And the Roman emperor said, I want you to stop that shit and come together, because I'm losing my whole civilization. And I understand that if I can control men's mind, I can control their behavior. The birth of Christianity. By the way, did you know for 500 years what hung on the cross was a lamb? There wasn't no man. It was a goat. And the reason why they used the lamb is because they wanted to express how meek the man was. When in reality, Yahweh ben Joseph was a naturalist. He was a rebel. He was a warmonger. He didn't come to save no souls. He came to save his people from the Romans. And then he hit the group of Jews who was making the money. And they didn't like that. And that's how he got killed, along with every other revolutionary that rose up before him and tried to overthrow Rome. Because see, Rome had a specific notion, law. No Roman can ever be crucified. Well, why was Jesus have blood and his eyes were blue? Huh? If Rome decided that crucifixion was too horrible of a death for their citizens, but they crucified Yahweh ben Joseph, what does your knowledge and your reason tell you? He might have not have been Southern Africa black, but he was at least Northern African black. Okay? Keep on metaphysics.
Metaphysics includes epistemology, the theory.
Epistemology. The way you think. Not what you think. The way you think. Every mother understands that. If she got more than 2 children. One of them little kid just bopping along, everything going on fine, you know. The other little joker just cutting out all the time. And you're doing the same thing for each child, but they think different. So metaphysics deal with your thinking, the way you think. Okay? Go ahead.
Ontology, the study of the nature of reality.
The study of the nature of reality. Why? The word that every child asks. Why is that like that? What make that like that? Go ahead.
In cosmology, the theory of the origin of the universe.
Where it come from? Go ahead.
Youth is the time to
read the man's name, very important. What's his name?
Robert Louis Stevenson.
Robert Louis Stevenson, a famous writer, said,
the more abstruse.
No, youth.
Oh, youth is the time to
study.
Oh, youth is the time to circumnavigate the metaphysics.
And what does circumnavigate mean? Travel around it. Learn it. Understand it. Look under the top. Look under the bottom. Look around the circumference. Understand metaphysics. Teach it to your children. Teach metaphysics to your children. Because if you don't teach them that, the first joker that come along and say, boy, you bad, you need Jesus. And then there he go. He need Jesus. But he don't know nothing about the world. He don't know nothing about himself. He doggone sure don't have no knowledge of nothing. But he wanted to drop everything that he could have been. By the way, this lecture subtext is black men can do magic.
Circumnavigate.
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 Go around.
And the Masons are tied down where?
See now, my boss under this circumstances, evidently think I'm doing a good job, or evidently think I need help.
No, you're doing very good job.
Okay? But the point is, teach your child about the real world while he's still a baby, while he's 8, 9, and 10. Till by the time he gets to be 12 or 13, you might as well give him to the law. Because if he ain't got no sense by then, he ain't gonna have none. He gonna give his soul to anything come along. Hot damn. You know, if it's good to me, it's good for me. I have one little grandson. He don't know it, and I don't think too many other people know it. But whenever he come to himself, he gonna rule the world. I can see it in his eyes. And my children are sitting here, so I ain't gonna tell him which one. But he's ready for that knowledge. Not the gap. I think it's so interesting that they use the word Gap. Gap is a major clothing store that specializes in clothes for black children. Huh? If you ain't got no sense in your head, well, buy these big old britches. Huh? If you too stupid to know that your pants are supposed to fit above your underwear, just come on to the Gap. We'll sell them to you as big as you want. I seen little boys walking down the street, you know, holding them up. Now how in the world, if his mama had any knowledge about herself in the world, then she let this kid out with a pair of pants that were too big for his dad. Because he hanging out in the Gap. Not the Gap store. The Gap of a nation that characterized itself as Christian. Christian. And in this Gap, you can do anything you want to do, including marry somebody, if you go to church on Sunday. Well, by the way, if you're in prison, they still let you go to church on Sunday. By the way, they gonna burn your ass, they gonna kill you, but you still can hang around in that Gap, asking for forgiveness from somebody who started out to be a goat. They didn't even talk about the true nature of that man, what he was about, what his intentions were. Say, okay, Charlotte, what that got to do with us as black people? Well, I learned one thing about what I do now. Study these subjects. White folks have about, must be 50 different definitions for the word I. Me. I. You know? In the beginning I wondered, well, why do they do that? Because black folks don't like to read. Okay? And if we just mixed it up a little, i.e. Daniel Webster, who was a Kabbalist, by the way. And before I leave this subject, the very first black popes of the Catholic Church were Jewish. They were Jews. They still didn't open up their scrolls and put out some of that information. They just created a lot of other stuff and gave that to Constantine. But the first 5 of them were Jewish. I ain't got nothing against them Jews. The only thing I got, only people that I have anything against is me and my people. So I want to tell you why I brought all of this up and about the way they use the language. She read for us Metaphysics. Now I want somebody to read the word alchemy. Read it loud, Miss Charlotte. There's 2 Charlottes in the room. Alchemy.
A combination of chemistry, magic.
Magic. My subtext. Black folk can do magic. Go ahead.
And philosophy.
Love of knowledge. Go ahead.
Studied in the Middle Ages.
In the Middle Ages. They didn't even tell you about who. Go ahead.
Alchemy tried to find or prepare a substance which would turn cheaper metals into gold and silver.
Wait a minute. When the white folks got hold to alchemy, they decided that they wanted to turn gold, cheap metals into gold. Go ahead.
And which would also cure any ailment.
Cure any ailments.
And prolong human life.
Prolong human life. You can stop right there. I want you all to keep that thought about prolonging human life in your mind. Alchemy. Now, alchemy. I told y'all can't spell. A-L-C-H-E. This L is chemistry, right? And what's the next part of it?
C-H-M.
Huh?
C-H-E-M.
C-H-E-M-Y. They respelled it, but I found it. Kemet,
Kim, meaning black.
meaning black. They mixed chemistry with the word Kemet, and they came up with a false chemistry. Thank you, Noel. Alchemy, or chemistry, or alchemy, I'm sorry. Emiola, don't say nothing else. That's the religion, or that was the thought that was found when the Western man and the Egyptian man met. And until this day, every country in the West is built up off of the knowledge of those people. Well, Charlotte, do you have any truth? Okay? What I want to do is to give you a few symbols that was taken from those people. I'm going to try to do this. This is the best drawing I can do for y'all today. What do you call it?
Scale.
A scale of what? A scale of what?
May I?
Well, I can tell you are a little bit more into
Justice.
the scale of justice. The scale of justice is what they call it. But what it really is, it comes off of the wall of Mayat. And the wall of Mayat, they done disassembled and put it into the library, I think, in Europe. Because there was nobody else to see it. And if you read a lot, you can run into dim pictures of it. But what this is about, you better live right, because when you die, your heart is going to be measured by a feather. If the feather weighs more than your heart, you can't come in. A demon, it says, will spend eternity eating your heart, and your spirit will spend eternity floating up and down between heaven and hell. Nowhere to go, nowhere to run to.